In today's video, we re-diving into 3 scary true stories from people who found hidden cameras. Terrifying, real experiences that prove you were never as alone as you think. There's something especially unsettling about the idea that someone could be watching you without your knowledge. You lock your doors, close the blinds, and feel safe in the privacy of your own space. But what if you weren't really alone? These are 3 terrifying true stories from people who discovered hidden cameras, and what they found changed their lives forever. Story by 1. Jordan M. In 2022, I took a solo trip to Portland, Oregon for a short getaway. I'd just gotten out of a stressful job and needed to disconnect. I found a cute Airbnb just outside downtown. Minimalist, clean, with good reviews and a reasonable price. The host was a man in his 40s named Rick. He didn't live on the property but messaged me frequently, checking in to make sure I had everything I needed. Seemed polite, maybe a little too eager, but nothing alarming at first. The place was small, 1 bedroom, a kitchenette, and a bathroom. My first night went fine. I cooked dinner, watched Netflix, and went to bed early. The only odd thing I noticed was a faint clicking sound in the living room, almost like a light switch being flipped repeatedly. I assumed it was an old appliance or faulty wiring and shrugged it off. The second night is when it got weird. I was brushing my teeth when I noticed something off about the smoke detector above the mirror. It had a faint red light blinking, but slower than a regular detector. I stood on the toilet and looked closer. The plastic cover was slightly crooked. I pulled it down and immediately felt a rush of adrenaline. Inside the casing was a small black lens pointing directly at the shower. I froze. My mind started racing. How long had this thing been recording me? I grabbed my phone, snapped a picture, and immediately messaged Rick. No response. I emailed Airbnb support and reported the listing. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak in the floorboards felt sinister. I left the lights on and sat up with a kitchen knife in my lap, checking every inch of the apartment. I found 2 more cameras, one behind a vent facing the bed and another tucked behind a bookshelf. I felt physically sick. The next morning, I packed and left before sunrise. Airbnb later confirmed the devices were not disclosed and removed the listing permanently. Police got involved, but last I heard, Rick was under investigation. I never found out if he was arrested. For weeks after, I couldn't sleep. I kept imagining where else someone might be watching. Hotels, bathrooms, even my own apartment. The worst part? When I checked the listing again a few days later, it was gone. But the host's profile wasn't. He had another new property listed. Different city, different name. If you're enjoying these creepy stories so far, make sure to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more. If you have a terrifying experience of your own, send it to the email in the description below. Story 2 by Derek L. I used to do freelance editing for a small marketing agency. Most of the team worked remotely, but occasionally we'd meet at this rented office space above a coffee shop for strategy meetings. It was this old converted building with exposed brick, creaky floors, and a cozy feel. Nothing out of the ordinary. We called it the Hub. The landlord, an older man named Elliot, ran a couple of businesses from the same building, and he was always kind of lurking in the background. He'd offer us free coffee, ask how business was going. Small talk. Seemed harmless. Until one day, I stayed after hours to finish a last-minute video project. Everyone else had left, and it was close to midnight when I heard a soft tap behind me. I turned. No one there. I figured maybe it was pipes or the building settling. A few minutes later, I heard it again. A click, this time. I followed the noise to the kitchenette, where there was a weird blinking blue light under the sink. I crouched down and found a small black box tucked behind the cleaning supplies. It was a wireless camera. I took it apart and found a micro SD card inside. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't tell if this had been there for days, weeks, or longer. The next day, I told my manager. We decided to sweep the rest of the office and found 2 more hidden cameras. One tucked inside a fake smoke detector above the conference table, and another inside a phone charger block near the bathroom. Police were called. They questioned Elliot, the landlord. He played dumb, said he had no idea how those got there, but it was clear no one else had access to the building outside of us and him. Eventually, we moved locations and cut ties completely. What stuck with me was the footage I had watched on that SD card before turning it over. There were files going back 6 months, videos of meetings, private conversations, people changing shirts in the bathroom, all saved, all organized by date. I still feel violated thinking about it. Someone was documenting us like a reality show, only we never agreed to be on camera. Story 3 by Camille R. This happened in 2020 when I was staying with my new boyfriend, Kevin. We'd only been dating for about 4 months, but things felt serious and I started spending more nights at his apartment. Kevin lived alone in a studio downtown. Tidy, minimal, with an impressive setup for gaming and home security. He had smart locks, smart lights, even a camera facing his front door, just in case. That all seemed reasonable. But one night, I was getting changed while he was in the shower. I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror and noticed a blinking green light behind me, coming from the wall clock. It was one of those modern digital clocks with a large display, but I never remembered seeing any blinking lights before. I walked up to it, inspected it, and realized the lens in the middle wasn't part of the display. It was a pinhole camera. I didn't panic at first. Maybe it was just part of the clock, some feature I didn't know about. But when I Googled the brand, nothing matched. The model didn't exist. When Kevin came out of the bathroom, I confronted him. I didn't accuse, just asked, "Hey, is that a camera in the clock?" He looked at it, paused, and said, "Oh, yeah, that was from my ex. She had stalker issues, so we installed it as a precaution. I just never took it down." I nodded, but something felt wrong. Later that night, while he slept, I took the clock off the wall and checked the back. Sure enough, a small slot with a micro SD card. I took it home the next morning and plugged it into my computer. The files weren't just of the living room. They were sorted by name. My name. Hundreds of clips. Me sleeping. Me undressing. Me on the couch. Some footage was recent. Others dated back to our second date, long before I ever stayed the night. I never went back. I texted him and said I knew. I told him I had the card and I'd go to the police if he ever contacted me again. He didn't reply. Didn't even try to lie. The worst part? I looked through the rest of the apartment in my memory and wondered, what else had I missed? There's a certain kind of horror that doesn't come from ghosts or monsters, but from people who walk among us, people who hide their intentions and their cameras in plain sight. So next time you check into a room or even relax in your own home, look a little closer. You might not be as alone as you think.